I want you to really picture this, okay? A man so gentle, his teammates call him Papa. So soft-spoken, he barely raised his voice. So kind, he'd apologize for tackling opponents too hard. For most of his career, this gentle giant was just another player. Good, but not great. Talented, but not special. Then something changed. For 2 seasons, this same gentle man became absolutely unstoppable. Defenders bounced off him like children. He scored from impossible distances. He dominated games single-handedly. He was literally unplayable. This is the story of Yaya Toure, the man who proved that sometimes the most devastating weapon is the one nobody sees coming. The gentle giant who discovered that being kind doesn't mean being weak. It just means choosing when to unleash your power. Negneri Yaya Toure was born in the Ivory Coast in 1983, the middle child in a family that would produce not 1 but 2 professional footballers. His father worked multiple jobs to support the family. His mother sold vegetables in the local market. They had dreams for their children, but professional football, that seemed like an impossible fantasy. While his younger brother, Kolo, was aggressive and fierce on the football pitch, Yaya was the complete opposite. Calm, thoughtful, almost too nice for his own good. Where Kolo would slide into tackles with fury, Yaya would pull back at the last second, worried about hurting his opponent. Even as a teenager, coaches noticed something unusual about Yaya. He had all the physical tools. He was tall, strong, athletic. His first touch was sublime. His passing was precise. But he played like he was afraid to hurt someone. In training, he'd pull out of challenges. In games, he'd apologize to opponents after fouls. His teammates started calling him Papa because he was always looking out for everyone else. Yaya was too gentle. His first professional coach would later say he had the body of a warrior but the heart of a poet. We kept telling him to be more aggressive, but it wasn't in his nature. This gentleness followed him everywhere. When he moved to Europe to play for Beveren in Belgium at age 18, teammates were amazed by his politeness. He'd say please and thank you to everyone, from the star players to the kit man. He'd help clean up after training without being asked. He'd check on injured opponents during games, sometimes even helping them to their feet. His teammates really loved him for it, but coaches were getting frustrated. Here was a player with incredible talent, but he seemed almost too nice to succeed at the highest level. In professional football, kindness is often seen as a weakness. Gentleness is viewed as a lack of killer instinct. But here's the thing about being too nice in professional sports. This was Yaya's story, the gentle giant who was too gentle to be giant, the talented player who was too kind to be killer, the man with all the tools who was missing the most important one, the willingness to destroy his opponents. At Barcelona, Yaya found himself in an impossible situation. He was surrounded by legends: Ronaldinho with his magical feet, Xavi with his perfect passing, Iniesta with his ghostly dribbling, and a young Lionel Messi who was just beginning to show the world his otherworldly talent. Yaya was talented, genuinely talented, but in a team full of superstars, talent wasn't enough. He played wherever the team needed him, sometimes as a centre-back using his height and strength, sometimes in defensive midfield, breaking up play with his long legs, sometimes even as a striker when injuries hit. Always reliable, never spectacular. He won trophies, the Champions League, La Liga titles, but he was always in the background of the celebration photos. The worst part, nobody really noticed him. Sports writers barely mentioned his name in match reports. Fans didn't chant for him from the stands. Even when he played well, the headlines went to others. He was becoming invisible, and for someone who had dreams of greatness since childhood, invisibility was worse than failure. I felt like a ghost, Yaya would later admit in interviews. I was there, but not really there. Was part of the team, but not part of the story. His family back in Ivory Coast would gather around their small television to watch Barcelona games, searching for glimpses of their son. Sometimes the cameras wouldn't show him at all during the entire match. His mother would call after games, worried that he was injured because she hadn't seen him play. But Yaya never complained. He never demanded more playing time. He never caused problems in the dressing room. He never spoke to the media about his frustrations. He just kept working, kept being professional, kept being gentle. Even when his heart was breaking, even when his dreams seemed to be slipping away, he remained the same kind, thoughtful person he'd always been. The breaking point, however, came during the 2009 Champions League final. Barcelona beat Manchester United 2-0 in Rome, and it was one of the greatest performances in football history. The team played with a beauty and precision that left the world speechless. Yaya played the full 90 minutes, had a solid game, and won the biggest trophy in club football. But in all the celebration photos, in all the interviews, in all that glory, he was still barely mentioned. generation. The gentle giant had helped win the biggest prize in football, and the world still didn't know his name. While his teammates were lifted on shoulders and interviewed by every television station, Yaya stood quietly in the background, holding his medal and wondering if this was all his career would ever be. That night alone in his hotel room in Rome, Yaya made a decision that would change everything. He realized that something had to change, not just the situation, but himself. In 2010, Yaya made a decision that shocked everyone who knew him. He left Barcelona, the biggest club in the world, the team that had just won everything, to join Manchester City, a team that had never won anything significant in decades. People thought he was crazy. Why leave paradise for a project? Why abandon certainty for chaos? But Yaya knew something others didn't. He wasn't just changing clubs, he was changing himself. At Barcelona, he had been comfortable, safe, protected by the brilliance of others. At City, he would have to be the brilliance. He would have to step out of the shadows and into the light. The first sign came in training. Teammates at City noticed something different about the gentle giant. He was still polite, still kind, still the same thoughtful person off the pitch. But there was something new in his eyes during training sessions. A hunger they'd never seen before. A determination that seemed to burn from within. It was like he was holding back his whole career, one teammate said, and suddenly decided to let go. In training, he started winning every challenge, dominating every drill. We could see that he was different, but we didn't know how different until the game started. The transformation wasn't immediate. For his first season at City, Yaya was still the same reliable, unspectacular player he'd always been. Good, but not great. The team struggled, finishing 5th in the league, nowhere near the title they had dreamed of. Fans were patient, but you could sense their frustration. They had expected more from their expensive new signing. Then came the 2011 to 2012 season. Something clicked. Maybe it was the new manager, Roberto Mancini, who believed in him completely. Maybe it was the pressure of City's massive investment in players. Maybe it was the weight of expectation from fans who had waited decades for success. Or maybe it was just the time. Time for the gentle giant to stop being gentle. But suddenly, the gentle giant wasn't gentle anymore. At least, not on the football pitch. The first sign that something had changed came in a game against Newcastle United in May 2012. City needed to win to have any chance of winning their first league title in 44 years. The pressure was enormous. The stakes couldn't be higher. 44 years of disappointment, of being overshadowed by their neighbors Manchester United. It all came down to this moment. With the game tied 1-1 and time running out, Yaya picked up the ball 30 yards from goal. And what happened next defied belief and changed everything. He drove forward like a man possessed, like someone had finally unleashed a caged animal. Defenders tried to stop him and bounced off his powerful frame like they were children. Then, from 25 yards out, he unleashed a shot that flew into the top corner with such power and precision that the goalkeeper didn't even move. The stadium erupted. But it wasn't just the goal. It was the way he scored it. The gentle giant had become a monster. The kind, thoughtful player had transformed into something devastating and unstoppable. I had never seen anything like it, said a teammate. It was like watching Clark Kent become Superman. One moment he was our reliable Yaya, the next he was this unstoppable force of nature. That goal changed everything. Not just for City, who went on to win the title in the most dramatic fashion imaginable, but for Yaya himself. He had discovered something he never knew he possessed, the ability to take over games through pure force of will. The gentle giant had learned to be a monster when his team needed it the most. But that was just the beginning. The 2013-2014 season was when the world truly saw what Yaya Toure could become, when he stopped being gentle and started being great. He scored 24 goals from midfield, a number that seems impossible even now. But it wasn't just the quantity, it was the quality and the manner in which he scored them. He would pick up the ball in his own half and drive forward like a freight train. Defenders would try to stop him and bounce off his powerful frame. He would shoot from distances that seemed ridiculous, and the ball would fly into the net with unstoppable power. He made the impossible look routine, the spectacular look simple. For one season, Yaya Toure Toure was the best midfielder in the world, not just in England, but anywhere. He was unplayable, unstoppable, and absolutely devastating. What made Yaya's peak so incredible wasn't just his individual brilliance. It was how perfectly everything came together. Manchester City had built a team around him, giving him the freedom to roam and destroy. The Premier League, known for its physicality and intensity, couldn't handle a player who combined technical skill with unstoppable power. Game after game, Yaya would do the impossible. He would score from 30 yards like it was a penalty kick. He would dribble through entire teams like they were training codes. He would dominate games so completely that opponents would just stop trying to stop him and instead focus on limiting the damage. The most incredible part? He made it look effortless. While other players would celebrate wildly after scoring spectacular goals, Yaya would just jog back to the center circle with a slight smile. The gentle giant had become so powerful that even his most devastating moments seemed calm and controlled. Playing against Yaya that season was like trying to stop a hurricane with an umbrella, said one opponent. You knew what was coming, but you couldn't do anything about it. He was just too strong, too fast, too good. His teammates were in awe. Here was a man they'd known as quiet and humble, suddenly becoming the most feared player in football. In training, they would just watch him do things that shouldn't be possible, scoring from impossible angles, dribbling through entire defensive lines, dominating every drill and exercise. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Yaya's peak was how he maintained his character. Even as he was destroying opponents on the field, he remained the same gentle person off it. He still said please and thank you to everyone. He still checked on injured opponents. He still helped teammates with their problems. The gentle giant had learned to be a monster when he needed to be, but he never forgot who he really was. He had discovered the secret that eluded him for so many years. You can be kind and devastating, gentle and unstoppable, thoughtful and dominant. The key was knowing when to be which. But here's the thing about peaks. They don't last forever. By 2015, the monster began to fade. Age caught up with Yaya's legs. The endless running, the powerful shots, the dominant performances, they had taken their toll. Injuries slowed him down. New managers wanted different things from him. The gentle giant tried desperately to recapture his peak form, but magic like that can't be forced. You can't manufacture perfection. You can't will yourself back to greatness once it's gone. The goals became rarer. The unstoppable runs became memories. The fear he once struck in opponents turned to respect, then to sympathy. Watching Yaya's decline was heartbreaking for those who had witnessed his peak. It was like watching Superman lose his powers or seeing a lion grow old in captivity. The body was still there, the knowledge was still there, but the magic was gone. The monster had returned to being gentle, but this time it wasn't by choice. He moved to different clubs, trying to find that spark again. New York City FC, Olympiacos, even a brief return to England. But you can't recreate perfection. You can't go back to a moment in time when everything aligned perfectly. You can only be grateful that you experienced it at all. Today, when people talk about the greatest midfielders of all time, Yaya Toure's name doesn't always come up first. His peak was too brief, his career too inconsistent. But for those 2 seasons, for that perfect storm of power and skill and determination, he was untouchable. He was the best midfielder in the world, and everyone knew it. Yaya's story teaches us something profound about human potential. For most of his career, he was just another good player. Talented, but not special. Reliable, but not remarkable. It took him until his late 20s to discover what he was truly capable of. It took him years to learn that being gentle doesn't mean being weak. Yaya Toure proved that transformation is possible at any age. That sometimes the most devastating weapon is the one nobody sees coming. That being gentle doesn't mean being weak. It just means choosing when to unleash your power. For 2 seasons, Yaya Toure stopped being gentle and became unstoppable. And in doing so, he showed us all what's possible when you stop holding back and start believing in your own power. The gentle giant became a monster, and the world of football was never the same.